Welcome to Life Happens, where Texans come to protect their legacy and prepare for the second half of life. Join your host, attorney Kim Hegwood of Your Legacy Legal Care, and our weekly guest as we navigate the challenges that emerge as life happens. Now here's your host, Kim Hegwood.
Good morning and welcome to Life Happens with me, Kim Hegwood, and my very special guest today is Bill Cohen. Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me. I'm very grateful for having me.
And you have a company called Cohen Caregiving Support Consultants, right?
Right. Yes.
And so you started this company because of your own journey, is that right?
That is correct.
And so you're probably one of the few exceptions to the rule as far as, is you being the caregiver.
Mm-hmm.
We find that, a lot of people, it tends to be women more so, than males, but don't get me wrong. I have a lot of males that take very good care of their wives, and loved ones.
Mm-hmm.
But did you ever imagine that you would be one of those people that would, be a caregiver and because of your experience, you're now giving information, you're now helping other people.
Mm-hmm. Well, one of the things that you just alluded to is a good example, and this is regarding especially dementia caregiving. About the time that I was starting my journey with my mom in the mid-2000s, the figures were about 1 out of every 5 caregivers for dementia was a man. Now it's more like 1 out of every 3, and I'm seeing that with my clients and my support groups. More and more men are coming into that role. But if you had asked me about 20 years ago what was going to happen, the journey with my mother would transpire, and I'd be doing what I'm doing today, I'd say you're crazy. You couldn't make that up.
That I can understand. And so, because sometimes you find yourself in places that you didn't really imagine.
Mm-hmm.
And can we talk about mom now?
Yeah, I'd love to. So not too far from you, my mom was living in Biloxi, Mississippi.
Okay.
And as you could probably tell, I'm not from there. I'm a New Englander living in Portland, Oregon area. And in about 2004, mom was showing some disturbing signs, and like agitation, behavioral issues, memory, not taking care of the house, not taking care of the finances. She was actually in the caregiver role for my late stepfather. And we were wondering if, why is she just stressed out? Is she getting older? What's going on? So we thought we'd see if my stepfather passed away or went into a care community, would she bounce back? But we never got that opportunity, because as many people remember what happened on the Gulf Coast, New Orleans, etc., in August 2005.
Katrina.
Yeah. Their home was completely swept away in the storm surge down to the foundation.
Yeah.
She fortunately had evacuated safely, but she fully expected to come back to that house because it had survived many other storms. The trauma exacerbated, accelerated whatever was going on with her. We didn't know yet, but we had some concerns. It was probably some dementia. Long story short, I started doing cross-country caregiving and travel. She's with other family members for a couple of years on the East Coast. I started attending a support group while still holding down my full-time job, getting counseling. I moved her out to Oregon in 2008. She was in an excellent care community in Southwest Portland for about 5 years, 4 of which were memory care. I'm the primary caregiver, some support from family and others, including my wife. And she passed away almost 11 years ago now at age 83. It was definitely Alzheimer's dementia. And I was going to that support group. I thought, okay, I'll go for a little while longer, help others go along the journey like others helped me. I became the facilitator, started doing the Walk to End Alzheimer's, advocacy of the Capitol for fundraising, for research. And I thought as I approached retirement from a completely unrelated state job, government job, that I was just going to do more volunteer work. But I came across this concept of a caregiving support consultant, certified senior advisor. And so the really short version is I turned my personal loss, my pain, into my passion. And you've probably heard the term encore career.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that's mine. And so, for the most part,
Yeah,
I
exactly.
can appreciate that. I have the same, very much the same, so took care of my grandparents, and because of the experience that, that I had gone through, really wanted to make sure that people were educated so they could make better decisions.
Hmm.
And because my grandparents didn't get good legal advice,
Hmm.
so, and it made it difficult, for me down the road. And I tell a lot of those, different
Hmm.
stories. I'm
Yeah.
blessed that my family has been giving me good stories to tell people for years.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so, in that aspect of it. And so,
Hmm. And
so
yeah, you mentioned the legal side. I mean, I usually say there's two things that are like job one, A and B. One, make sure your loved one is safe. Two, make sure you do the legal work, get the documents in place so that you can be proactive in planning.
yeah, you always want to do that early and as often as you can, right up till the time you can't do it anymore. And
Hmm.
but you and I, your mom's been gone for a while. My grandparents have been gone since '06.
Hmm.
So the resources were different then. You know,
Hmm.
and so did you have much resources then? Because I found that I didn't have a lot of. I mean, I learned elder law before it became a thing.
Hmm. Yep. Yep.
And
I wasn't aware of it yet.
and
So yeah, it was sorely lacking. Fortunately, I started looking at the Alzheimer's Association's website, learning from there and other sources, and again the support group. And if it had not been a good experience, I might not be sitting here either. It was very helpful. It was supportive, confidential, and that's why I became a facilitator. I'm actually still leading that same group 18 years later.
nice.
Yes, so it's like my legacy group, and I lead a couple of others. But what most people found, it wasn't very good back then. You sometimes don't even get a dementia diagnosis when you from the physicians. When you think about cancer and some other conditions, here's the diagnosis, here's the plan, here's the treatment, here's your prognosis, right? With dementia, that is sorely lacking. If they even give you one, there's no plan, there's no treatment, there's no pamphlet. And I still hear this today from my clients and the people in my support groups. It is sorely lacking, and they feel let down by the medical profession. Granted, they have limited tools in terms of diagnosis and medicines and things like that. But people say, where's the plan? And fortunately, I found others, like I said, the support group, the Alzheimer's Association, and finding other caregivers.
Yeah, I find that support groups are phenomenal for helping families avoid problems that they've already had to fix.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and I think that's the best thing for about caregiver, about just those, just any kind of support groups in general,
Mm-hmm.
is that the people there are so giving of their experiences and their time, and to help you through the process to
Mm-hmm.
make it easier for someone else.
Yep,
And I think
exactly.
that's one of the best things about about support groups, no matter
Mm-hmm.
what kind of diagnosis you have, whether it be
Mm-hmm.
dementia or a disability or something. I
Mm-hmm.
find that they are a vast resource. And
Yeah.
so
I like to say that as opposed to some groups which are a little specialized in terms of demographic, et cetera, my groups, both of them, are all ages, all genders, all relationships, all types of dementia, and all stages. So I have people in my groups from 30s to 80s, and they're all very supportive of each other, and it's very gratifying.
yeah. So I like that a lot too. And so you talked earlier when we were talking about mom's journey, if that she stayed with someone else for a couple of years, then she ended up with you. What kind of support did you get from family and other people when you were going through this?
So I'm going to allude to a course that's an evidential-based course developed by Emory University. It's called Savvy Caregiver. And one of the things they talked about was that family is how you define it. And it can be neighbors, it can be coworkers, it can be your charitable organization, et cetera. And there are different types of caregiving situations of families. Sometimes it's sole caregiver, sometimes it's collaborative, sometimes it's tag team sequential, and you have the uninvolved or observing from a distance type. And I had a little bit of both. So right after the storm, after the disaster, our family was definitely collaborative. Everybody was pitching in different ways to get my mother and my stepfather back on their feet. And they were with one step family for a while. Then they were with my family on the East Coast. And then I took care of them. But everybody pitched in. So we were initially collaborative. Then it became sequential. By the time I brought her out here, it was more solitary primary me with a little bit of help from others. But the legal, the financial, the insurance, the care, meeting with the staff, visiting mom, making sure she's okay. It was all on my shoulders while I'm holding down a full-time job about 40 miles away. I was working in our state capital and she was up in Portland. So, and my wife wasn't directly involved most of the time. She supported me so I could take care of mom. But whenever I needed her, she stepped up. She was very, very helpful. One aunt moved out here from Manhattan and ended up staying, and she would help visit my mom at the care community. So I'm eternally grateful for that. But not everybody has that. And that's why they need a support group, or they need someone like me to help them through that journey.
We talked earlier, that most caregivers tend to be women. You're seeing a trend, going towards men. And but when did you realize it was going to be you?
Well, one thing is, even if there are some males involved, oftentimes it will fall to a woman in the family, and it could even be an in-law, daughter-in-law. That was not going to be the case here. I have one brother. He wasn't involved much. Like I said, my aunt helped, but it was primarily me. And I think because one, I had a very close relationship with my mother. I think she brought out the nurturing side in me. We don't even have kids, so I never even took care of kids, let alone my mother. I don't think there was any question that I was going to step into that role. Responsibility was important to me. Most faiths believe in the honor your mother and your father from the 10 Commandments. And I just stepped into it and did it. And it wasn't resentful. It wasn't like, oh God, what am I getting myself into? Okay, somehow I'll get through this, even though it was very challenging, very stressful, overwhelming, isolating. Yeah, well, again, holding down a full-time job. And what didn't help was that, besides the distance, I had a micromanager narcissist boss from hell.
Oh, no.
So you can imagine where my stress level was. And that's where the support group came in counseling and that type of thing. Mm-hmm. And taking breaks, going for walks, getting a massage, things like that, self-care. So very important.
Yeah, I didn't have that. And it's like my grandparents had 3 children that I knew. My mom worked full time, and I knew the other 2 weren't going to to do anything. But there was I'm almost a lot like you. There was never a time that there was a doubt that it was going to be me.
Yeah.
And I knew that very early. I got married young, and I had told him after about the first year of marriage, we've got to get closer to the grandparents because I'm the one that's going to end up taking care of them. So we've got to get back closer. We were living south of San Antonio at the time. And he said, sure, no problem, and so we got transferred as soon as we could, got us closer back, to them. But there was never a doubt.
Yeah.
And as big a family as I've got lots of cousins, and there was never a doubt it was going to, for me, there was never a doubt it was going to be me. And it was just kind of, I just knew, I just knew it was going to be me, so I always found that interesting, but I can appreciate the stress. I had 4 teenagers living in the house, 2 dogs, 2 cats, and I was litigating at the time. So I was running back and forth between courthouses and doing that job. So.
An interesting thing about men, though, is that women have traditionally been in that nurturing, caregiving role for children, etc. Men tend to look at it differently. One, they don't seek the help. They don't seek the counseling. They're less likely to go to a support group or a counselor, although I see quite a few in mine. They tend to see it more like a job, a task, a series of things they can do. I can do this work and take it in order like that, instead of more of a holistic, caring approach. But, But that's not all men. That's generalizing, of course.
Yeah, but I think in general too, if we're gonna, since we're generalizing, that men are fixers.
Mm-hmm.
So they see a problem, they want to fix it. So they come at it. Our brains are just wired differently.
Mm-hmm.
So and I think it probably for you probably did make it a little harder for you not having kids, so you didn't have
Mm-hmm.
somebody you had to take care of prior to taking care of mom.
Mm-hmm.
And so what are the first things that families should do once they're aware that a loved one has a problem or receive that diagnosis?
Great question. So, and a lot of people, it takes them a little longer than they should because they can be in denial, or they think they can handle it, or they're just getting older, that type of thing. But when you're seeing those first signs, and a lot of times it happens around the holidays, this is a very busy time in senior care, especially for like the housing people and home health care. So we need to bring in help because there's changes going on. So the first thing they should do, obviously your area, if they haven't already, while they still can, is get power of attorney signed, advance directive, the living will, and those kind of documents, so that again, you're being prepared, you're proactive, and you have the authority to take care of them and to talk to the professionals. So otherwise, you're SOL, if we all know what that acronym stands for.
Sorry, out of luck, what I told
Sorry,
her.
exactly. There you go. Thank you very much. So the legal is very important. The other thing is make sure that they are safe and they're getting care, whether it's you or somebody else. But then start talking among your family, make plans, but make sure you have not only a plan A, a plan B, and a plan C. Look at all the what ifs. And it might be going back to that caregiving responsibilities or types, that somebody might take care of them for a while and then somebody else. Or you just are collaborative. You do it for a while at the home. I'll visit this week. You do it next week, that type of thing. Or, and it can be for people, including that are out of the area, they're not nearby. They don't have to be the hands-on caregiver. It can be doing the finances. They could be ordering things. They can come for visits, give a respite, a break to the person who's doing the primary caregiving, whether they're doing hands-on or they're in the area at the care facility. So things like that is to talk about it, have a plan, be collaborative. And one of the other things that I do that I should mention, increasingly, I'm finding myself helping people make these decisions, that some families have trouble ordering pizza and what type to order. They can't decide on who, where, and how to take care of their loved one. So increasingly, I am in a elder mediator role. I'm trained to be so, and help people who are at an impasse and come to a decision that's in the best interest of their loved one. I don't make the decision for them. That's mediation, as opposed to litigation. And I don't make the decision, but I keep them talking and come to an agreement that they can all live with, again, in the best interest of the loved one, and make sure they know that I'm not a therapist. I can't fix your family dynamics, but I'll keep you talking.
Yeah, sometimes just talking makes all the difference in the world.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I think about one family where they were split right down the middle, 4 siblings. They were in 4 places here around the Northwest. And at one meeting, one of the siblings said, "Well, at least we're not yelling at each other." So that was a win.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
And so definitely. So Bill, if somebody wants to find you so they can get in your support group and get some help from you, how do they do that?
Very good. Yes, my website is Cohen, that's Cohen, Cohen Caregiving Support.com. And my email is bill@CohenCaregivingSupport.com. And my phone number is 503-522-8320. Yes, that's an Oregon zip code, or I should say area code, but I help families nationwide. I can help you wherever you are. And I would like to say I can support you, your families, or your clients. I've been there.
Perfect. Thanks so much. It's been a pleasure to have you on the show today. We look forward to seeing you again soon.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of Life Happens with Kim Hegwood. Be sure to tune in every Thursday at 10 a.m. wherever you listen to your podcast as we navigate through the challenges that emerge as life happens. The content of this podcast does not establish an attorney-client relationship or constitute attorney-client privilege, legal, medical, financial, or any other professional advice.